Hi, Doug Pelton from The Frame Up. Today we're working on the interior for TC 1675, and we're going to take a look at installing the hood tack wood strip on the back of the tub. It's one of the most difficult installs for the interior. Let's take a look. The first step is installing the hood tack wood set. It's a three-piece set. You've got two corners and a back piece. And to start, you want to begin with the corners themselves. Now the wood has different dimensions compared to the width of the tub, so there is a variance and you have to make the decision. Do you align the edge of the wood with the inside of the tub, or do you want it to align with the outside? And the answer is you want to align it with the inside of the tub, because when you are finished with the vinyl is going to wrap up and over, and you want this to be a smooth surface on the inside for a finish. The outside, if there's a variance, is going to be covered up with the hood itself, so you'll never see it. So the first step is just locate your wood so that the inside is flush and parallel with the inside of the tub, and then drill your holes using a countersunk type drill. It does two things. It punches a hole in the wood, and it also gives you the countersink for the screw itself. And I always put one in first. Put one in there first to locate it, and then drill your other two holes just to make sure everything is rigid. Once you finish the one corner, then take the other corner piece and do the same. Locate it parallel to the inside, and then your third piece you'll want to fit. Normally these are a little bit long, so you're going to have to measure and trim. I've already trimmed this one so it fits, and the same thing, you'll want to have that flush with the inside of the tub. Once you get these installed, run your screws in there, make sure everything trial fits, and then you're ready for the vinyl. When you're finished with the pre-fit of the wood, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to have your screws installed, the recessed heads, three pieces, and the final test for the gap between the corner and the back rail is just take a piece of your vinyl, double fold it, and that should go in there very easily, because you'll need room to work your vinyl for the final install. After you fit the three pieces, the two corners in the center, you pre-drill them and you have all your screw holes set up. The next step is to take the vinyl and fasten the vinyl to the bottom of the center hood tack strip. And you can do that using either staples or glue. But once you get that underneath the bottom, then the next step is actually get your screws in here and get this anchored down, and you leave this flap unfinished at this point. And in preparation of doing the corners, the next step is going to be doing the corners, but before we do the corners, we have to finish off these the ends of the centerpiece. And the way you do that is by folding the material in a certain way. Now, most people would fold down, but it's real bulky, so in this case, we're going to work the material around from the back and then forward, so it's all flush with the wood, and then we're going to hold it there, and then we're going to lift this up and fold the material underneath, kind of like a hospital corner on your bed. And so when it gets finished, it's going to look like this. I'm going to go through that one more time. The fold is pushing the material underneath, not on top, but underneath, and then forward to give you a nice square finished look. Now we're not going to tack this down. I just want to make sure it's fitted correctly. In the end, we're going to have the corner piece on, and only after the corner piece is on, then we will fold this down, and this will be our final fit, because we have to overlap the material from the corner piece will be underneath, and then we'll tuck this over for the final finished edge. Probably the most difficult part on the back hood tack trim is doing the corner pieces, because we've got compound curves, and the vinyl is stitched with two pieces with a seam here. So the question is, how do you install this and make it look right with a smooth fitting of the vinyl over the wood? The vinyl piece itself is stitched, and what we want to do is have that stitching in the area of the inside of the wood, and so it's real important to have the stitching exactly on that wood. It's very cumbersome, and we're going to show you how to do that. Okay, the objective is to have the stitching exactly on the corner of the inside radius of the wood, and so the way we do that is using the stitching as the guide. We're going to bring material down so you have about at least an inch excess beyond both ends, because you need that material to fold over for finish. But once you get this in place, then I use a small staple gun with short staples, and then just work my way along to tack this down. Now keep in mind that these staples are not permanent. These staples are temporary, and you'll see why in a few minutes. And you just continue to do the staple all the way along the radius, so when you're finished it's going to look like this, and if we fold it back we can see that the seam is in fact on the inside and will look real nice for the final install. Once we have all the staples in place and it looks good, the next step is to actually fit the vinyl over the wood and tuck it underneath. But you can see coming up around the corner it's going to be real bulky, and it's going to bulk up and not lay down smooth. So what we do is we're going to start at the end here, and we're going to cut reliefs in here, but we need to know how far to cut the reliefs. So I'm going to pull this tight and just mark it, and that's our do not go beyond that line marking for when we cut our relief points. So we're just going to go around the corner. Notice I'm pulling the material tight so there's no bubbles in it. This is going to be okay, but where it starts to radius, we're just going to put some small cuts in here, maybe about 3/4 inch separation, just so it pulls tight and will lay flat. And we'll do that around the entire corner, the radius. And the purpose of that is because we're going to glue this, and when we draw these over, then these can glue tight, and we'll have a nice finished edge around here with no bulkiness. All right, once you have the vinyl glued on the corner pieces, I like to just take my knife and trim along here because I had some excess material and just pull that off to clean it up so it lays nice on the tub. And then the next step is just let it dry and set it aside for a while just so the glue sets. And then the other corner that we were working on has been sitting for a while, and the next step is to pull out these staples, because these staples were temporary, and by pulling out the staples, then you can access the screw holes to actually install the wood on the tub, and that'll be our next step. So we get the last staples out, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now we can actually open this up and access the screw holes, and we'll put this on the tub next. Next step, after we've got the staples removed, we need to finish the corner that butts up against the centerpiece on the back. And concept-wise, we're just going to show you real quickly. We want to take this back and fold the material forward to make a nice seam there, and then the bottom gets folded across, so we've got those two corners covered, and then this is brought up, and we've got quite a bit of bulk here, so I'm going to trim this with the scissors. Always be careful about how much you cut off so you don't cut off too much. And then this gets folded in and over, and then this can go on the inside. So that's pretty much how the corner should look ready for install. Now I've got one finished up here, the other side. So we've got the bottom folded over. I just put a staple in there to hold it, because this doesn't get seen, obviously. This is not seen, a couple. And then this, we don't want to finish this end, and you'll see why when we put it on the tub in a second, because also we need to be able to access the anchor screw, as we talked about. So our next step is putting this in place on the tub. Okay, time to anchor the corner piece. We've got the screws preset. We're going to get this in place. I center or do the center screw first, and everything looks good. Okay, when you have your wood set in place for your vinyl, we've got excess material, and it's a decision time as to where to cut and how much you can cut. So before you commit to any removal of the vinyl itself, you need a couple pieces to help decide where the vinyl is going to end showing. This is the box top that we've got pre-fit, and so we're going to place that in, and you can see the vinyl goes down below that, so we don't want to cut above the box top. And the other piece is the rear quarter panel, interior quarter panel, and you can see that they make up in the corner here. So in order to kind of establish a landmark or a no-go zone, I know that the quarter panel comes back from here, and the box top ends in that area. So this is going to allow me to cut this access. Matter of fact, I'm going to put a relief cut in here on 45, and then we can kind of fold the material down, and then up here we can cut this back up because we want to reveal this area down here so it's finished such as this. So we just have to remove this material in this area. We're getting ready to finish out this back left corner, and once you have all the material trimmed and cut back as we indicated earlier, now we need to glue this down on the inside. There's two things that I do to finish the inside here. One is I glue this area, and that allows the material to really lay down nice, and you press out the bubbles and everything, and then don't worry about the far edges until you get the glue set. But the contact cement is going to hold the center and work from the center and work it out, letting the glue do its job of holding. And then when you get to the end, then you can tack it with some staples, because the staples are not seen. Remember, this is going to be below the box top, and this area forward, the staples are going to be covered by the rear quarter panel. All right, we're at the forward edge of the corner piece, and this is probably the most difficult fold on the whole back of the car. So I'm going to take my time, and we're going to pause so you can kind of watch and see what's happening. We've got just bulk material. We've just got bulk material, and the first fold is actually starting down at the bottom. We're going to take the bottom fabric and fold up. So we're folding the bottom up, and then that leaves this bottom right corner to fold down and across. The purpose of this is to have a finished edge at the bottom, because there's no room to tuck it under. We've got the screws down tight, so you can't force it underneath. So we're putting a fold on the bottom to give you the finished look. The last fold is up at the top. We're not going to fold it down, but we're going to do our inside fold that we did previously. So we're going to raise this up and fold this back, and then bring the top down over. That gives us a finished edge on the top and a finished edge on the bottom. And then the last part is the inside, where we're going to, I've got some excess material, so I'll cut that in a minute, and we're going to fold this back out of the way, and then the inside goes down. So you can see the whole perimeter has finished edges, all one piece with no cuts. We've got a finished edge on the bottom, the top, and the inside, and then the inside of the tub here as well we fold back in to give us our finished look, and this will be covered by the quarter panel. To illustrate the back right corner, we glued the inside of the tub. Then we folded the material over. We worked out the bubbles. We did not glue all the way forward. We left this unglued about an inch or two back. Then we folded the corner and then tacked the inside with some staples. So the front is finished, the inside is finished, and then the back, you want to work that as well. It's glued, and if necessary you can tack this down, but this material here needs to overlap, or actually underlap, the rear flap, and this is where we started and this is where we will finish, and this is how we finish the back seam here. We're going to fold this under and make it perpendicular and straight, and we're going to overlap the corner piece, and then we can tack this down below, and that gives us our final finish. And all the way across we can tack and trim, and that should complete the rear of the tub. Okay, we've finished the final install of all three pieces and have all of our vinyl trim finished out. Just to show you the final sequence, we took each corner and glued the inside corners, worked the vinyl down with the glue, and then we folded the front corners to give a nice finished look. Once we got each corner finished, then I glued across the face of the backboard here, and then starting in the center with your vinyl, you want to work it from the center down and then work it out to clear any bubbles that you have in there. And then you'll have some excess material, and you want to fold that underneath the wood, and then I put staples to finalize that. Just to give you an idea of how it looks when we finish up our next step, we'll put the box top on here, and you can see the only thing that's visible is the finish, and you're hiding all of the staples. And then the quarter panels, when you install the quarter panels, that covers these seams and staples as well. The very last step is installing the bolts for the gas tank straps. And just as a reminder, the bolt and large washer should be painted the same as your interior. That's the way it came from the factory. Now, the next step will be installing the piping, and the piping will come around and finish out here. So stay with us and be sure to watch for the install of the piping and the remainder of the side curtain box.